Gunderson.
Here.
David. Chairman, you do have one.
All right, thanks, sir. All right, if you'd all join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome. Okay. First item on our order of business is the minutes from August 27th. Everybody get them? Read them? Enjoy them? Any changes?
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Have a motion? Support. Motion and a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same time. Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, two cases tonight. First case is PPUD F25-02, that's the Manfield Land Use Consultants, and I understand they have taped
They have requested postponement.
until
There are a
next.
couple of questions that came up over the last couple of days, and they would like additional time to resolve those matters.
Okay, fair enough, so we will not be hearing that case tonight.
You guys need to wear your mics.
Oh.
Can you hear me? I have my
You're
mic.
closer.
Now it is,
I'm just gonna get it down so I don't get that. Can everybody hear me? Anybody hear me? You good? Okay. All right, so we'll use our minds tonight if possible. Okay, so that brings us to the first case we'll hear is PSUP 25-008, Brian and Holly Wilcome, Special Use Permit and Site Plan Review Contractors Use, 572 Rustic Road, Section 36. Tammy.
Thank you. This is a request for a contractor's use on property zone FF1 Farm and Forest. So the property is 10 acres by description on Rustic Road on the west side of the road. Surrounding properties are zoned FF1 to the northwest and south, FF2 across Rustic Road. So FF1, the main difference between FF1 and FF2 is the lot size requirements. FF2 has a lot size requirement of 2 acres if you're building a house and 1 acre in FF1. So the applicant has requested a contractor's use, and contractor is defined in our zoning ordinance as a person or company that undertakes a contract to provide materials or labor to perform a service or do a job. For example, electricians, plumbers, heating, and building trades. And you may recall that we have had a few of these contractors' uses come through in the past. We have one on East Mitchell Road with the Hoffmans that is now really a tree farm. We have Furman's on Howard Road that was reviewed as a contractor's use. And there are some others throughout the county. There's a landscaping company in Springville Township. My husband happens to have a contractor's use on our property in Springville Township as well, for similar type of use. So this is the property. It was vacant in 2022 when these aerials were flown. Approval was not applied for or granted for the use, and enforcement action was initiated on this use on August 29th, 2025. So this use was not approved by the county. The operation involves log storage, firewood processing, equipment storage, and starting and finishing location for employees. Contractors' use may be permitted as a special land use in the Farm Forest Zoning District, subject to supplemental regulations, and we'll go through those in a moment. And in addition to contractors' activities, the use involves forest product processing, including log storage and firewood processing, which is a use allowed by right in the FF1 zoning district, subject to site plan review and approval by the Planning Commission. So a person or a business isn't supposed to just occupy a property and do a permitted use by right, except a single family dwelling or an accessory building after a zoning permit is obtained. Okay, so this is the site plan that was provided by the applicant. It shows the proposed use, it shows the access onto Rustic Road. Incidentally, on your desks this evening, there was an email that came from Emmett County Road Commission related to the access. They indicated that the proposed location does meet the Emmett County Road Commission site distance standards for a commercial driveway. If this use were to be approved, then a commercial driveway would have to be installed in order to meet the Emmett County Road Commission standards. And that would be with a concrete curb and culvert extensions and and the commercial driveway entrance that you see throughout the county on commercial drives. And if you'll note in your zoning evaluation that you received, that was listed as outstanding still. These zoning evaluation this was sent out on the 21st of October, and then shortly after we sent that out, we received the road commission's review. And also the fire chief's review has been received as well, and the fire chief indicated that an address would be needed at the entrance to the subject property. So this is getting into site plan review, but really we first need to look at the special land use. So a special land use has to be approved, and then if the special land use is approved, the site plan is also part of that special land use. So the questions before you this evening, looking over the standards of Article 21, which is the section that we look at for special land use, does the proposed special use involve uses, activities, processes, materials, or equipment that will create a substantially negative impact upon the surrounding uses in the vicinity? That's something that the Planning Commission needs to determine. Does the proposed special land use comply with the applicable standards of Article 26 for contractors? And will the use constitute a public or private nuisance or be detrimental to the use or development of adjacent properties? And then supplemental regulations for contractors include, is the setback distance to the log pile area and existing trees and vegetation sufficient to effectively screen the storage from public view? Will the Planning Commission modify the owner occupancy standard to allow the use without the property being the primary residence of the owner? That's a requirement in those supplemental regulations. Will the Planning Commission modify the building limitations to allow up to 2992 square feet of ground floor area? And then the purpose is to review the special use and the site plan at this meeting, make a recommendation. The Township Board will then review in November and make a recommendation to Emmett County Planning Commission for consideration at their November 6th meeting. This review would be conducted under Article 8, which is farm forest, and that lists out the uses that are allowed as a permitted use by right or a special land use. Article 19, which is the schedule of regulations that provides for the requirement of setbacks. Article 20, which is the plot plan and site plan review standards that have to be met. Article 21, special land use, and then Article 22, which is general provisions that talks about lighting and parking and access and those sorts of things that apply generally to every land use and every commercial land use in the county. And then the supplemental regulations for contractors that are listed and we went over briefly here. If the special land use is something that you feel should be approved, then we would look at the site plan to make sure that the site plan meets the standards of Article 20, which gets into the more specific details of the site plan, which is shown here. I do want to point out on the site plan, they showed trees to be removed with the X's, which I think those have been removed already to allow for access to the site. There's in red, there's 2 shipping containers that are on the site already, the log pile storage, those are all, everything's on the site without approval except for the proposed pole barn, which is being proposed here along with the use. These photos were taken of the site early on when the enforcement action began. So you can see the driveway that had been installed. And then in the background, you can see a little bit of the log storage. And then you can see the shipping container, vehicles coming and going from the site. And this is relatively early in the morning, about 7:30 in the morning, before it was dark at 7:30 in the morning. So we went over what we'll be reviewing tonight. And then this is not a public hearing, this is a public meeting. The public hearing is held at Emmett County Planning Commission, but we still treat this like a public hearing, and you reach out to the public for comments. When you open the public hearing, I do want to point out that we did receive some comments from Maria Yeager and from Judy Amaker, and those were in your packets and on your desk today, sent to you via email or on your desk today. And then I wanted to address a couple of the questions that came up in the public comment. There was a specific question about why do you schedule 2 meetings or 3 meetings even? And we are required under the Zoning Enabling Act, when a person applies for an application for any use, that's a special land use or rezoning, but in this case, a special land use, we are required to notify property owners within 300 feet of the property boundaries 15 days prior to the public hearing. And the public hearing is the meeting that's held at Emmett County, and so that's why we already have 2 meetings scheduled. So if this request is approved or denied at this case, this is a recommending body, and the case goes on to Emmett County Planning Commission. The applicant would have the option to continue on to the Planning Commission regardless of what this body and what Bear Creek Township Board decides or recommends. So I wanted to point that out. Why has the county allowed this project to be underway and up and running? The county didn't allow it. The applicant or property owner went ahead and did everything that has been done on the property so far without zoning approval or county approval. Is wood processing a commercial business or industrial business? Wood processing is wood product processing is a permitted land use in this zoning district with Planning Commission approval. There was a question about snow removal and snow being placed on this site. That's not part of the application. And then there was a question about building berms around the property. Can the board request an actual site visit? And the applicant did provide the ability for the Planning Commission to go onto the site. It is a private property, so the public cannot go onto the site, but the board members and the fire department do have access to go there. Will there be de-acceleration lane? That's not part of what the road commission required. What is construction? I think I explained that definition. And then why would the driveway that was never there before need to be upgraded? Commercial without commercial zoning, and that's based on the actual use on the property, and that's something that we've seen throughout the county. If there's a commercial use being conducted on a piece of property, then the road commission reviews it and applies the appropriate road commission standards. So Mr. Chairman, that's what I have for you. If you have questions for me, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thanks, Tammy. Does anyone have anything for Tammy before we go to the applicant? All right, so I'd like to hear from the applicant, and then before we discuss it with the applicant, I probably will go right to the public, and we'll bring the applicant back up and have a board discussion. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, who here would like to speak on the case? Who's the applicant tonight? Okay, would you like to add anything to what Tammy said, or? Want me to- Yeah, if you like, or stand there, whatever's comfortable for you.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. I'm Holly Wilcome with my husband Brian, and I don't know if it'd be appropriate to read this letter that we had written with the application. Would that be
Sure, if you like.
okay?
to.
Kind of
Yeah.
explains where we're at and how we got here. So it just says that we are applying for the special use contractor permit for 10 acres of land that we recently purchased on Rustic Road in Petoskey. Prior to purchasing the land, we researched the allowed use and zoning for the property. We believe that our business fell into the category of agriculture and forestry, specifically forest products processing, forest production operations, log storage yards, and etc. And those words were taken from the zoning paperwork we had. On the paperwork provided, this use was indicated as permitted by right. We now understand that we wrongly interpreted this to mean that this use is allowed by right. So that was the kind of something we didn't understand, that permitted by right didn't mean allowed by right. I also called the zoning office to inquire if it would be possible to erect a pole building on the property in the future, and I was instructed that there would need to be an application at that time, or an application including a request for a modification of the standards of a special use permit. We thought that that was something we would need to do when we were ready to build the pole barn, which we aren't yet. We're not, that's even in the extended future. Then on August 29th, we received notification that our property was in the violation of the Emmett County zoning ordinance. Since then, we have been working with the zoning administrator to come into compliance. And then that brings us to where we are now. We've already installed a residential driveway, as the picture showed. We have moved two metal storage containers, which are not there permanently, they were just dropped there. And a small shed, which is also movable, it's freestanding, onto the property. The property is also currently being used for store logs for firewood processing, and our work trucks are currently parked there for daily use. So by applying for the special use permit, we are trying to rectify the mistakes we have made by moving forward without the proper approval initially, which we did not know. Furthermore, we were instructed and told it would be best just to go ahead and ask for the approval for a pole building on the property for the future. Like we said, we don't have an exact time, that the next year or two maybe, to build a building if we get that approved. The 70 by 32 foot building would be used for equipment maintenance and repair. There is not a residence on the property, and we do not plan to live at the site. We understand that this requires a modification of standards and are requesting that approval. Regarding the trash receptacle placement shown on the site plan, we request a waiver of the fencing requirements, as we believe that the trees there already provide adequate natural shielding. It is our intention to continue to work with the county officials, township, as required, to come into full compliance for the use of the property. And we just appreciate your time and attention. That makes sense, that explains kind of how we got to where we are now, and we're just trying to rectify what's already happened. We just didn't understand, we didn't know that was what we had to do first. So now we're coming back and asking and hoping that this is something we can get straightened out.
Thanks, Holly. Appreciate it. So we'll open up to the public, and then after that, I'll give you another opportunity to speak.
Okay.
Alright, so you guys okay with it? We're gonna take it off the public now, and we'll bring it back up here. Alright, so we'll open it up to public comment. Everybody who speaks, you'll have 3 minutes. And if you just state your name and address for Scott, please, that would be great. And then if you'd also address the board directly instead of the applicant, I'd also appreciate that. And at the end, we'll have the applicant has an opportunity to speak to whatever was spoken to tonight by you guys. Okay, so with that said, we'll open up to the public. Who would like to speak on this case? Anybody?
Yes.
You first. All right, how are you?
Nobody wants to be first.
Yeah.
Good evening. Matt Breed, 5450 Rustic Road. I am around the corner from this property, and I've already noticed a significant increase in the noise. Early morning, late evening. I was a little shocked when I first saw the development. Didn't understand how that could be approved. Now I find out it hasn't been. And the fact that it was brought to the township, or the owner's attention on the 29th, I believe, a month ago, the activity has significantly increased, as well as the number of items on that parcel. The heavy log trucks, I have concerns for those on the tight corners we have on that small road, let alone the wear and tear on the road. I have some significant issues with this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Yep, please do.
Hey, Mitch. Tom and back saying something.
Tom, you have a question? Is the mic on?
I don't think so.
Hey.
I can push the button. It's on now. Is that better?
Yeah, you might have to hold it, I'm not sure.
I might.
I can hear
Can
you.
I try? Can I try?
hear you. Thank you.
All right. Hello, my name is Amanda Dow. I'm a property owner in Bear Creek Township located at 5620 Rustic Road. I am I'm here actually, formally to object to proposed zoning amendments, special use permits and rezoning requests that would allow commercial tree cutting, logging, similar industry activities on or near our area. My husband and I have lived at Rustic Road for over 20 years, and I have now, he's been there for 20 years, I'm sorry, and I have been there for 10. He resided down the road, and we decided to purchase a house in this area because of the country feel. On our road, our children could ride bikes, take dogs for walks, and even take a golf cart ride down the road to our neighbor's farm to see some farm animals. What we love most about this area is the privacy and quiet. We love walking outside, sitting on our porch with our morning coffee and listening to the birds, ducks, turkeys, squirrels, sandhill cranes, and geese. My husband was born and raised on a farm. The best noises he hears from our front porch is Mr. Hoffman's cows bellowing down the road, which I find a little comical, but I do enjoy much to myself as well. And my neighbors can attest to this. I've spoken to several of my neighbors recently. For the past few months, we've had to listen to and see the destruction to our neighborhood, and I would like to invite any one of you or anyone here to come sit in my backyard and listen. I'm within 300 feet of this property that's in question. Just come sit. It reminds me of the ice storm, walking outside and hearing generators and trees crashing. It's horrendous. There's no peace. We put in a hot tub to enjoy our peace and quiet just on our back patio in our forest area of our backyard, and we get none of that. I was on my back patio 9 o'clock on Friday morning, and nothing but noise and crashes and these machines running nonstop. And I have a neighbor that's actually even closer to this property, and from my conversations with her, her bedroom is right next to where these people are pulling in and out. And the time discrepancies on what was listed by the Wilcomes in for their hours of operations. 5:35 tonight, I was sitting on my porch and logging trucks coming through. Some of my concerns: noise, privacy, dust, debris, road damage caused by these big trucks. 10 acres is required. If you would reference the Emmett County zoning ordinance 26.24 letter D, which states the site must be 10 acres or larger. What is the actual GIS on this? Because from what research we have done, it's not 10 acres. And then housing. How is this going to lower our housing values with this kind of project underway, essentially in our backyards? The Wilcomes website states they provide snow removal. I'm sorry?
It's been 3 minutes.
Oh.
You're close to finish?
I'm close. I'm a proud Native American, and I'm federally recognized by the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians. The wood that's being brought to this area, we can't transport wood across the Mackinac Bridge for several reasons, but there's being stray trees brought in and being cut in this area. I'm curious on how are we regulating this? Do we know if there's a threat to our trees in the area from stray trees being brought in? And since I've hit my time limit, I will stop, but I do have much more, and I will submit this letter to the board.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Why didn't you go first?
I agree with that.
Who else would like to speak in this case?
I guess I'll say something. Finish it up.
I'm gonna bring your paper. Good evening. Matthew Dow, Amanda's my wife, 5620 Rustic Road. And like she said, this property, this parcel is directly behind us, and we can see a lot of it from our backyard. I won't go over a lot of the stuff that she went over, because she's already said it. But I guess first off, when we first saw these logs, we thought the property, oh, they're just logging the property. We're gonna deal with it for the summer and then they'll be gone. Well, come to find out, no, they actually want a log processing facility right in the middle of a residential area. You know, personally, if I was a business owner looking to move my business into a residential area, I'd go talk to the residents in the area, let them know what's going on. It's my understanding that they only talk to the one neighbor, which is fine, but the neighbors didn't really talk until we all received the same letter from the county. And as far as the acreage, it's right on the Emmett County GIS map. It's 9.32 or 9.23. It's not 10 acres. One of my biggest concerns, because I'm a proud father of 4 daughters, We do a lot of stuff in the backyard. There's no restroom facilities on the property. Where have these gentlemen been going to the bathroom? And then my other biggest concern is it is a low-lying area, especially where my house is at. We have 3 sump pumps under our house. We had a $10,000 insurance claim the 1 year when our crawl space flooded. I can see right from the map, the site plan, that they're planning on snow storage. So where's all that snow and all that runoff's gonna go? I can tell you, it's gonna go right to my corner property. And with that's about all the concerns I had, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Jeremiah Ecker, 5606 Rustic Road. I actually live right in the middle of their chaos, and at 6:30 this morning I was woke up by their tractors beeping, like I can hear it right out, like it's right inside my bedroom. And I've been watching the chaos all summer too. I thought it was the Steads paying for their beautiful new home that they put up, and to come to find out that it's a business putting right in the middle of there's residential yards all the way around here. It's not like wide open field, there's no houses around. And we live at the bottom of that. And again, about the runoff and the snow, I have farm animals and there's a pond next door. And if all that stuff comes downhill, and we know it does, it's gonna end up in our yard. And the noise late at night, my animals go crazy, my dogs go crazy, and yes, the convoy of log trucks up and down the road early in the morning. So that's my concerns. What's gonna happen to that?
Thank you, Jeremiah, appreciate it. Anybody else like to speak?
I do. Do I have to get up there?
No, just state your name and address would be great.
My name's Deborah Still. I live at 5990 Rustic Road. You know, I'm not here to be disrespectful. I know this couple, and I'm from delivering wood and everything, but when I found out that it was sold and everything, and a driveway it just butts up with ours, the end of our property line, and that's where all the trucks come and go. So I watched the logs come in, I watched the trucks go in and out, and the dust in the summertime, and we were gone for 3 years because we had a house fire. We finally got back into our house, a house.
Beautiful house.
And it's just, I feel bad, and all these neighbors catch all the noise. I hear it, but I'm on the opposite side of the property. I'm on the south side, they're on the north side, right? Or east?
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, it is country, and it's been like that forever since my husband's family owns so much around there. And it's a shame, it really is. And I'm just asking, when you move something like that in and you know there's houses all around, it's not that we live in Taj Mahal, you know,
Right.
but hey, we work hard. Everybody works hard for their home. And the property value is just, it's right there. It's just logs twice as high as my house and everything. Now, if they brought animals in there, I'd be happier than, you know, bring some cows in there. I'd be so happy. But I don't understand. Would you like that? Would they like that in their backyard if they lived where we live now? That's all I'm asking. And that's all, I mean, it's just not.
The right place.
No, it's not the right place. And, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. It's not the right place.
Thank you, Deborah, appreciate it. Okay, anybody else like to speak on the case? Okay, Holly and Brian, if you want to address anything said, you're welcome to. If you don't, that's fine too, totally up to you. Is there anything you'd like to address to the board, not to the audience, but to us?
Okay, Mitch,
Yeah.
could I first, I wanted to bring to your attention the letters that we received. Maria Yeager had concerns with the peace and quiet of the neighborhood, noise, privacy, dust and debris, road damage from heavy equipment, size of the property meeting standards, business started without permits, impact on property values, big truck traffic, discrepancy of hours of operation, possible additional business use, no bathroom facilities, dumpster screening and other eyesores, fire department access, deceleration lane, and driveway permitting. And I know those were a lot of things that were already mentioned, but I just wanted to, mention that. And then Judy Amaker, concerns with noise, pollution, traffic, heavy equipment vehicles, and industrial activity in the residential neighborhood.
Thanks. You have something to add real quick?
And the reason I brought up the contamination and running downhill my farm and other people's businesses, whatever, they do have fuel tanks on the property as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Okay, I'm sorry about that, if you'd like to address the board or anything.
So she said not to address the people, so I'll try to do that. So we certainly weren't intending to upset the neighborhood. Didn't know that this was gonna be such an issue. I think one of the things too that we thought about was that Flynn's excavating there has been across the street for years. That was one thing too that made us think that there was businesses in that area. That you know, people were used to that. These people probably live directly across the street from that big area that has, you know, lots of trucks in and out all the time. So that was one thing. I guess the only other thing I can really address is about the snow issue. I'm just thinking logically that we're not actually hauling snow into the site. It would be the same amount of snow that's always been on the property. So that confuses me a little bit. But we wouldn't be bringing more snow there. We would just be moving what we needed to move to get in there. So we're certainly not, you know, certainly hasn't been our idea to upset the neighborhood or anything like that. We have had this in our backyard for years, and that's much closer to than any of these people live, and it really, yeah. So this was our business is expanding, and it's time for us to find a property to be able to move it to, just to have its own space. And so that's what we had decided to do, and we didn't know we were causing such a ruckus, honestly. So I think that's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks, Al, I appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing part of our meeting, and we'll bring it up to the board level now. Like Tammy said, I think we ought to look at the special land use. And if we can get through special land use, then we'll look at the site plan review. But we need to look at the bullet points that staff gave us for special land use. You guys are sure all there, so let's look at that first and see if we get through that. If that's good, then we'll get through site plan review. Fair enough? Okay. One thing I do want to say is this case is kind of a unique opportunity for us. Usually a case is presented and we have, you know, go look at a site, we have stakes and ribbons, and you kind of have to use your imagination as to what's going to be where, and you have to look at measurements, kind of like the apartment case we've been looking at for months. You know, you have to, but this one is unique in the fact that it's already up and running, for good or for bad, obviously. But we can directly see the operation. I'm sure a lot of us, or hopefully all of us, went out and looked at the site, so we can clearly see what it looks like. We can see the impact it's having on the neighbors as well as hearing it. You know, you actually can see it in motion. So, like I said, a little bit unique. So let's look at those 4 points for special land use. So I'll just kind of read through real quick. Does the proposed special land use involve activities, process, materials, equipment that will create a substantially negative impact on the surrounding uses in the vicinity? Towards the back, almost at the end.
Yep.
Items for review. Does the proposed special land use comply with applicable standards of Article 26 for contractors? Will the use generate traffic which will exceed the intended capacity of roads serving the property? Road agency, we have road agency review. Will the use constitute a public or private nuisance or be detrimental to the use or development of adjacent properties? So those are the questions we kind of need to discuss right now and see if we get through that or not. So definitely listen to some opinions or thoughts. Like I say, I'm sure you guys all went out to the site. So
I actually have a question.
you might want to use your mic so they can hear you.
I have a question. Comments were made as far as the actual size of the lot. Is it 9.3 or is it 10? What is the actual lot size?
So
acreage?
The zoning ordinance allows for this type of use on parcels that are 10 acres by description. The legal description of the property is 10 acres more or less. And if you go to GIS does deduct the road right of way. So the road right of way taken out of it, it's
Okay.
less than 10
Diminishes it
acres
then.
with the road
By
right of way
description.
removed. But by description, it's 10 acres
Okay.
more or less.
Okay.
Jeff?
If Jeff is finished, I wasn't quite sure.
I think he is. He just wanted to know about the acreage.
Okay, I want Tammy to revisit the residency requirement. I know you mentioned it earlier, but I'd like to hear it again.
Sure. This is something that we've looked at before. Special use permit for contractor's use does have supplemental regulations laid out in Article 26. And those supplemental regulations include the requirement to reside on the property. So owner occupancy buildings and uses permitted shall only be approved on properties occupied by the owner and be the primary place of the owner's residence. The zoning ordinance does then, at the very end of this section, allow the planning commission to modify those standards. It says that modifications to the standards listed in items B through F above may be approved by the planning commission if the intent of Article 8 is kept and the surrounding properties are protected from nuisances. And that would be paragraph C is where that's located.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So, I mean, obviously, in the past, we've made some exceptions, but they've been exceptions, and it's mostly because the applicant lived in the adjacent parcel or right across the street, or they had a family member that was residing on the property. Those are the kind of exceptions that I remember making before in similar cases. So obviously, we can't, this doesn't apply in that respect, so that one's gonna be a hard one to make an exception for right there. So, good point.
I'd like to make an observation before I forget. I did go out there and look at the site. Your fuel storage that you currently have, you have 2 tanks. I assume one is diesel and one is gasoline, is that correct?
One is gasoline, one is diesel,
Okay,
on-road, and the other one's off-road diesel.
okay. You don't have the proper, underneath those tanks, there's supposed to be berming to maintain if you have any leaks. There isn't any underneath those tanks. I view that as a very dangerous situation you have right now.
Okay.
I think you need to address that, and no matter whatever this board does, you need to get a hold of the fire chief. If you don't know how to do it, ask them about how to set up your fuel tanks so they're safe for the neighbors and for your people. There. Sorry to digress, but I'll forget 30 minutes from now.
Oh, it's all right. If we get into site plan, I was gonna adjust the fuel tank and ask basically about permitting and things like that and requirements for fuel tanks. I didn't get into that, but that's fine. One observation I had when I went out and did a site visit in the middle of the day is that there was a truck there grabbing a dump truck full of loaded firewood. The truck at the time did start up the generator to power the fuel tank. So in the middle of the day, the generator was running while it was fueling up. So I mean, even in the middle of the day, I didn't think I'd see anybody there, but it was quite active when I was there for a brief amount of time. So speaking of fueling and generators, so that might fall under the nuisance thing, as somebody pointed out. Generators are one component of noise that apparently aren't just running at start and end of day. So, all right, Judy, you have anything?
No, the other concern I had seen when I was out there, there was no one there when I was there, when I went in the driveway. I didn't walk it, but if it's gonna be a contractor's use, not having a residence there, what was brought up in regards to bathroom facilities, you got employees coming morning, night, during the middle of the day. There's nothing there, not having a residence or a building or a function for those people. I have concerns about that. I think something needs to be there for the residents. They don't need to be using the woods or whatever.
I would say too that, I know they said that they may bring it up for a John at a future date, so my initial thoughts was, bringing a portage on is gonna be additional big truck traffic to bring them in, clean them out, whatever. Jeff, you brought up the fuel on site, so obviously it wasn't mentioned, but there has to be a fuel truck come in and out at some point, a large fuel truck. I don't know how often, but I'm sure that adds to it, so considerations.
I don't know on the logging trucks, you see logging trucks going down the road and they're dual capacity, I don't know what you call those when they got tandem, okay, whatever. And that, if they would be that large, that is a large truck to come down on that road in that area. I understand Flynn's is there, I see Flynn's trucks coming out all the time myself, cause I live in the area. So, there is a lot of truck use with the Flynn's also, so I can understand that, but they're not the big tandem trucks that those log trucks could be. But I don't know, maybe they wouldn't be that large. I don't know what the use would be for that, but.
Yeah, there was a large truck on property yesterday.
Was it?
When I was there,
It
yeah.
wasn't, yeah.
I know it's a site plan issue, but a retention pond, there's nothing, trucks, heavy trucks, once they start aging, they start leaking. And they have a wide assortment of various kind of fluids attached to them. And all of that going into the ground, and the snow melting and moving and drainage, there's no retention pond to keep everything within this property.
Jeff, you have any thoughts on the nuisance
I
aspect or the
no, I
ownership
think,
order aspect?
I think tackling the special land use issues right now, and I'm comfortable expressing my individual opinion about each of those points. Just based on what your question were, does the proposed special use involve uses, activities, processes, materials, or equipment that will create a substantially negative impact on the surrounding uses in the vicinity? Yes, I think they will. D, does the proposed special land use comply with the applicable standards of Article 26 contractors? No, they do not. Like you said, the exceptions we've made has been a family members lived on the property, it's been adjacent, and I think there's very strong reasons to not vary from that. It requires the business owner, they're gonna live there, they're not gonna want a horrible situation. I understand with respect, it was on your property before, I get it. I don't know how you live with that noise, but for this case, I don't think that's a moot point. I'm not comfortable with waiving the residential requirement. I think that opens up a can of worms, not only for the future of the planning commission, future cases, but more importantly, there've been lots of times I've been on the right or wrong side of some of these decisions and said things inappropriately or appropriately, but I think that when I try to be vocal, it's because I try to keep in mind the neighbors and their respect for them. And I think this is hurtful to the neighborhood, in my opinion. G, will the use generate traffic which will exceed the intended capacity of the road serving the property? Yeah, I think it does. Those are heavy trucks, fully loaded. I can imagine, 10, 15 tons? Are those grade A roads? What's gonna do to the actual road, not just traveling down the road, but that's a lot of traffic. I understand that the drive can be met, but I'm concerned about the actual wear and tear and breakdown of the roads. I think that's something that really needs to be addressed, whether it's MDOT or, I think that needs to be looked at more seriously. That's a lot of traffic on a country road.
We need to know if it was a grade A road.
What's that?
We need to know if it's a
We need
grade
to know if it's a
A road.
grade A road.
I know Pickle Lake is not.
So I think that is, so I don't think the roads will serve it. I don't think it will. Will the use constitute a public or private nuisance or be detrimental to the use or development of adjacent properties? I absolutely think it will. So based on the special land use, I personally don't think we should even move on to the site plan review, my opinion.
Okay. Alright, no, fair enough. Any thoughts, Denny?
I agree with Jeff and Judy, and I was out there at the site plan looking at it today, and, those trucks are big, they're heavy, and, I guess what I'd like to know is, what kind of volume of trucks will be coming in and going during the day? There's gonna be, 20 trucks in and out every day, or it could be 2 or 50, I don't know.
You want me to answer that question?
Sure.
Trucks go out in the morning, and then throughout the day, one truck usually comes out, in and out throughout the day, maybe 3 to 4 times a day.
What size truck?
A 1-ton F-550. Smaller truck to deliver firewood.
So they're not tandem.
Log
It's
truck going in and out of there, I would say on average, you're probably looking at once or twice a week.
Any other thoughts?
It's not every day. It's,
Okay, Tammy?
That's addressed in the impact statement as well. It indicates 5 employee vehicles, 5 to 6 days per week, and 5 work trucks, 5 to 6 days per week, leaving and entering once a day. And then a log truck arriving and departing approximately 3 or 4 times per week, a firewood delivery truck 3 to 4 times approximately per day, according to the impact statement.
All right, any other board thoughts? It doesn't sound like we're gonna get past the special land use to get into the details of the site plan, so. Any other comments, Tammy, before we ask for a motion?
No, you have the options of recommend approval with conditions, recommend denial, or recommend postponement. Those are your options as the planning commission.
All right, if there's no further discussion, then I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny case PSU P 25-008 Brian and Holly Wilcome for a special use permit and site plan for a contractor's use at 5722 Rustic Road, section 36, Bear Creek Township, tax parcel 24011636400008, as shown on the site plan dated received October 1st, 2025, because the standards of Articles 8, 19, 20, 21, 22, and the supplemental regulations of sections 26, 24, contractors have not been met based on the facts presented in this case, and because Bear Creek Township, oh no, I guess just presented in this case, period.
I'll second.
So they had something, Tammy?
Well, I was gonna ask to have some more specific,
Okay, all right, due to, I guess I would say that due to the fact of the amount of trucks coming in and out, no residents on the property,
Impact on the neighbors and neighbors adjacent properties.
Yep. Impact,
Detrimental impact.
detriment and impact to the neighbors.
Okay, take a motion.
Motion.
Scott, you good with the motion?
Hang on 1 second.
You bet.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Danny, second?
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Alright, so Wednesday is the Bear Creek Township meeting, so the township board will hear our recommendations and make a decision what they recommend to the county. And the county's meeting is next week from tomorrow. And then you'll have, the case can be heard again. Okay, thanks. Just gonna make this.
Okay, we have a meeting to continue with here.
Okay, next item is public comments. Is there any public comments tonight, not related to this case, but just comments in general? Anybody in the public like to speak? Okay, moving right along. Other business, review and approve 26th, the meeting schedule. Did everybody get a copy of that? In your packets? All right, it looked good to me, I read it over, I didn't see any conflicts.
I have one issue, one question to throw out. The December meeting is December the 30th. You know, that's right between Christmas and New Year's. Maybe some of the board members will be traveling or elsewhere. I think this year we moved it in front of Christmas. Maybe we should be talking about doing the same thing next year.
Mr. Supervisor, any thoughts?
You guys set the schedule, you can always change it, but
Move it a week.
Jeff brings up a good point.
That would make it, December 30th would be the Wednesday, and that would be the 23rd then. That's 2 days before Christmas. Would that be better, you think?
Well, we made it December the 17th this year. That's our planning commission meeting,
The 16th.
is December the 17th.
But we could do December 6th. Does that give you time for getting, if we, of course, you never know if you're gonna have cases, you know, at that,
Right. I mean, it would be tight.
yeah?
It'd be like 21 days, kinda like this month for next month. Your 21-day slot.
But, I mean, you would have the options if, everyone would know when your meetings are going to be based on your schedule. And so if they were planning to come into our January meeting in 2027, they may or may not have to be postponed at your December meeting if there's not enough time to, you know, review the whole case, depending on what it is.
Okay. What do you guys wanna
It's
do?
very similar to what's going on this year, so.
Agreed.
Let's move it to the 17th, 16th?
16th.
I don't have a calendar, so I don't know.
Well, I'm just backtracking from the 30th,
It would be,
14 days.
it would be December 16th.
Yeah,
Okay. So yeah, the November meeting would be.
so the 18th,
What's the 18th?
November 18th, which is the third Wednesday, right?
Right.
Thanksgiving's the fourth Thursday.
Oh, I see,
so-
okay, so it'd be actually 4 weeks. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah, so it's still 4
Yeah.
weeks apart,
Yeah,
yeah.
right, you guys wanna do that then?
And then we're,
December 16th?
we're like 6 weeks from the January meeting.
In tradition, it seems like those are pretty quiet months, if I remember right.
Happens, which depends, but yeah.
Alright, so we'll change December from the 30th to the 16th.
Do you want a
Recommend that
motion
to
for
the
the,
township board.
for a motion for
16 is in 1/6, right?
Yeah.
6 for December?
Do we need a motion properly? Okay.
I'll move that we accept the, meeting schedule with the change of December being the 16th rather than the 30th.
I'll support that.
Okay, motion and support, all in favor, or any other discussion before we do that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, good suggestion, that's great. Okay, we'll recommend that to the township board. Site plans reviewed administratively, Boyd Construction.
We had one site plan to, review administratively. This is a site on the, east side of Rustic Road. It's off of the highway, so it's shown here on the right-hand side. This is the subject parcel, outlined in orange. And, it is one accessory building, behind the main office for Boyd Construction. It shows 2 pole barns, but only the one that's highlighted there was approved, the other one was not approved. And, that went through our administrative review process and permit has been issued.
The other one that's not highlighted, it's not there?
No,
Okay.
there is one that's directly behind the front office. It's kind of, perpendicular to the road, if you will.
Okay.
And then this will be another one behind that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Tammy. Okay, master plan meeting, I don't have any new information on the master plan meeting for what's scheduled. Denny, do you have anything?
Really don't, the last I heard is gonna be for, plan on for November 19th.
Okay.
You know, probably have to have a.
What day is
5:30 or
that,
6
November
o'clock.
19th?
That's your next planning commission meeting?
Right. Okay, thanks, Denny. Okay, any other business brought for the board? Okay, with that, 7:25, I'll call the meeting adjourned. And next